Hey guys, welcome to the Game Week 4 to Game Week 7 fixture forecast. And in this video, I'm just going to have a look ahead to the upcoming fixtures in the next 4 game weeks. And I just wanted to provide a bit of insight to help seasoned players and even the new players come to terms with which players have good runs coming up and who we should be aiming to target in the next 4 game week stretch. So I'm just going to get started, and I'll start by using what I have on the screen here, which is the fixture difficulty tracker available at the FPL Fulcrum Academy. It's basically a bespoke fixture difficulty tracker that I built, and it helps me when it comes to forecasting, looking ahead to the future game weeks. And I'll basically do a quick sort so that we can see the teams playing. We can see the fixtures for game week 4 all the way to game week 7. So I'm just going to type in 7 there and do a custom sort. And in this video, I'm just going to look at different players based on the different positional categories that are available for you to choose from. So I'm going to start with the defenders, and the way I look at picking defenders is I go with selecting a different difficulty type from here. So I don't just go with the overall strength of the opponent or the official FPL FDR rating. I usually like to look at the offensive strength or the defensive strength of the opposition team. So when it comes to picking a defender, I usually look at the strength of the opposition offense. So if I just select that, you can see the changes to the colors, and obviously the orange and the dark reds indicate the teams who are, have good offenses. They're basically good attacking teams, and the ones in green are they're not as strong in terms of attacking. So as you can see there, I've got that table sorted. So I'm just going to sort it here and select the easiest ones first. So you can see clearly Aston Villa have got the easiest set of fixtures based on the opposition's offensive strength for the next 4 game weeks. So when it comes to Aston Villa, you're going to want to be looking at a defender because, teams like Everton, they struggle to score. Everton usually struggle to score, whether that's away from home or even at home. So that's a good game to target for someone like Konsa or Pau Torres. Konsa's been declared fit to play, I think, so he's a good shout for Aston Villa. You've also got Lucas Dean, who's, left back for Aston Villa. Ian Maatsen hasn't been getting a start in the team yet, so Lucas Dean is another option there for your Villa assets. And if I highlight the easy run, Villa come top of the of the table, based on the difficulty. They've got 3 consecutive games with an FDR, basically an attacking FDR of less than 2 or less. So that is something that you'd want to consider when picking a player. So Aston Villa look good for the next set of games. And then you've also got Liverpool, obvious candidates, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson, because Nottingham Forest, I don't expect them to score, to be honest, at Anfield. Liverpool got a good home game there. And then obviously Bournemouth is a bit of a tricky one, even though it's at home. But you have to back Liverpool, at home. They've been strong this season. They haven't conceded a goal. So Bournemouth might find it tough to score. And then Wolves away, who I'm not too, I don't rate the Wolves attack that much. So I could see Liverpool keeping another shutout there. And then obviously Crystal Palace is a bit of a tricky one. But, they've lost Michael Olise. So they're not as strong from an offensive point of view. Daichi Kamada hasn't really settled in yet. So, and Matata's not looking as strong as he did at the end of last season. So Liverpool, they've got a good potential for some clean sheets there going into the next few games. And then Palace, they've got Leicester at home and United at home. United aren't looking strong. They're struggling to score. And then Everton away. Everton, they're not a strong attacking team. So Crystal Palace also have a good run there. And then when you go to the opposite end of the screen of the table, in terms of teams that you'd expect to concede and maybe concede quite a bit, Man City, Brentford, Haaland's in form, so we don't know how many goals City are going to score, but you can bet they will score. And then Spurs away, that's tough for Brentford, so I'd be avoiding Brentford for the next two, but looking ahead, they've got from game week 6 and beyond, they've got a really good run, so you might want to look at their assets. And then these are just a list of teams who you'd want to avoid having defensive assets from. Fulham got Newcastle and West Ham at home, which isn't too bad, but I'd steer clear. Nottingham Forest, definitely steer clear. Liverpool away, Brighton away, the next two. And Wolves, we've got Newcastle, who can score. Aston Villa away, they can score. Liverpool can score as well. So, these are the teams you'd want to avoid picking defensive assets from. Obviously, you wouldn't. There's the exception for Arsenal and City because they're the two strongest teams from a defensive point of view. So they're kind of the exception to the rule. But on the whole, you'd want to avoid defensive assets when you sort it like this. And then moving on to attacking assets for the next 4, I usually sort by the strength of the opposition defense, and then I look at the easiest first, and Villa coming up first again, Everton and Wolves and Ipswich. That is a very good run, so you'll be looking at Watkins. Although Watkins hasn't been too sharp, the last couple of games, and I think he's had a niggling injury, so he hasn't looked sharp, and John Duran has looked solid, so it is a bit of a toss up there. Then you've got Morgan Rogers, who's if you're going to back Villa for the next few games, then you might want to look at picking Rogers. United, they tend to deceive. You look at these fixtures and you think United have got a good run, but I'd avoid United, to be honest. They've not looked good based on the form. You're looking at the fixtures here, but looking at the form, I'd avoid United. But in terms of offensive assets from United, I'd steer clear. Arsenal against Spurs, I'd see Saka getting maybe some returns there. So if you have Saka, I'd look to keep Saka. City away, you'd think is difficult, but it's not really that difficult. City, they do tend to concede. They've kept I think 1 clean sheet so far this season. I think it's 1 or 2. I think it's just 1. So Arsenal can score, and then they've got Leicester and Southampton coming up after that. So I'd be looking to keep Saka and maybe even Havertz if you have them. And then Brighton, obviously you look at that upcoming run. Ipswich at home, very, very attractive game to bank on the attacking assets, your Mitomas, your João Pedros and your Danny Welbecks. And Nottingham Forest at home again. Nottingham Forest are a bit solid defensively, but you could see Brighton breaking their defence. And, Chelsea away. Chelsea haven't looked solid at the back, and Spurs, who do tend to concede. So that is a good run for Brighton. So if you're looking at Brighton assets, then you'd want to bring them in. They're definite buys for the upcoming games. And then you look at Bournemouth, Chelsea at home. I think that this is a decent game for the likes of Semenyo and, Sinistera and Tavernier. And then they've got Southampton. Obviously, the Liverpool game is a bit tricky, but Southampton and Leicester, they expect some returns there from your offensive Bournemouth assets. So, I'd be bringing them in with a view to those games. And then going down, West Ham, Fulham away, Chelsea at home. It's not too bad. And then they've got Ipswich there at home. You might want to think about bringing in Jared Bowen. He could be a good shout. And then Palace, Eberechi Eze, he's the talisman for Palace. So Leicester at home, you've got to look at bringing him in there. United haven't looked good on their travels, so I'd be banking on Eze getting something. And then Everton have been conceding a lot of goals, basically. Their FDR, I even had to adjust it. I think I indicated in the change log, I had to adjust their strength because they're missing Jared Branthwaite in defence, who's been a key player for them. So he's not expected. I don't know if he'll be back by then, but Palace, I think that's a good game for Palace. So those are the teams I'd be looking at when it comes to the offensive and defensive assets. So I hope this video has helped, those of you who are looking to bring in players based on the upcoming schedule. I hope this video has been useful for you. And if you've enjoyed, the video, the link to the academy is in the description, and I will be adding a video where you can get to see the behind the scenes of the rest of the academy at a later date. So stay tuned for that video as well. And good luck for the next game week. And I'll see you in the next video.